Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel HK Unique World. Today I would like to talk about the great history of the China dynasties, especially the Tang and the Song dynasties, which dynasties are actually very famous in the history of China. And when the Han dynasty was collapsed at the time of 220 AD, the times actually no emperors were actually able to control the China, and later it was the Wendi, the great emperor, who had the prestige and had the credit to reunited the Chinese from the northern to the southern parts and make and restore the China once again. So the history actually in favor of the emperor of Wendi, who was coming from the Sui dynasty. The Sui dynasty had passed a critical times and also a fantastic time in the history of China, because at the times the people of the China, actually the labor class, were forced to rebuild the Great Wall of China, and another the mighty works was the digging the grain canals, whereas near about 1 million of the peasant women and men had been working near about 5 years relentlessly, mercilessly working for the times, and many of them were died by digging these grain canals, and also for making rebuilding the Great Wall of China. So they also, especially the authority of the Chinese Sui dynasty, had taken many steps for reforming the countries, and they had the credit actually to rebuild the Great Wall of China, and also making the great canals at the time. However, at the last moments, the Tang dynasty actually established in China near about 618, from 618 to the 929. So it's near about 300 years. Those were actually ruling the Chinese Tang dynasties, and it was a person, a man who was the great emperor of the Tang dynasty, was actually the emperor Tang Taizong. And Tang Taizong, actually the title, and he was actually a great general. His real name was Li Shimin, who had the versatile genius, and he continued the reformations which was taken by the Sui dynasty's emperors. Later, the Li Shimin took different kind of steps to consolidate his power and to expand this Chinese territory for the neighboring areas. So the time of the Tang dynasties, and the civil service actually reintroduced by the Tang Taizong, and it was a successful systems for controlling the Chinese peoples and giving fantastic directions for the Chinese rulers and also for the Chinese administrators, and they found the real path which was taken and followed by the Han Chinese. The dynasties actually followed later. The Tang Taizongs also took different kind of reforms and struggling hard for making this the countries more territorious. However, he actually extended the surrounding areas of the Chinese, and later at the time of 751, it was the Muslims armies who easily defeated the Tang dynasty's rulers and captured the western China, especially the powers actually gone to the foreign hands, and it was not possible for the Tang emperors to recapture that areas. So that was the case. And however, the Tang dynasty was really a fantastic time, because it was an excellent and most advanced achievement was actually achieved at the times, and that was the golden times. Different kind of innovations, science and technology were actually invented by this by the times, especially for the Chinese peoples, like the gunpowders, the movable type printer, and the papers, currencies, and also different kind of architects also were made by the Chinese peoples. However, the Tang dynasty's rulers didn't last long because of their overtaxed and over crushing tax, which was really unbearable for the common peoples. So they revolted against the Tang dynasty rulers, and for that reasons they actually the revolted the peoples, the mass killed the Tang last emperor, who was a child. However, when the Tang dynasty collapsed, later another powerful dynasty actually came to the powers. It was the Song dynasty, and Song dynasty also actually enjoyed a great time, near about 300 years, from 900s to the 1200s. So it is, so that was a really great expansion at the time of spending in the history of China. So Song the time was really a fantastic time, but the Chinese area or territory was shortened, because and at the attack of the northern tribals peoples, they captured the northern China, and then the middle areas, which you already mentioned, that Muslim army already captures that areas, and the last part of the southern part was actually fully controlled by the Song rulers. So although the Chinese area was short at the times, but the Song dynasty enjoys the great moments, because the golden times, the glorious moment for the Song dynasty's rulers, and also for the development of the China's innovations and art and cultures and different things were actually took place at the time, and it was called, the time was the golden era of the Chinese history. The Song emperor was the Taizu, who was really deserved a great general and also a great rulers, fully controlled the southern part of the China, and actually the site of the Changjiang and its capital, and the Zhuhao or Jianghao was the capitals, and the southern part was very fertile for growing more crops. So that was a fantastic place, geographically advanced areas, and it was really a great contributions in the time of the Song dynasties. If we talk about the art and cultures and the science and technology, at the times the China reached its great times by inventing different kinds of things, such as already mentioned, the gunpowders and the papers and movable types and printing types, and also the blocks, and also different kind of the engraving systems, and also using different kind of metals and giving the shape of different sizes. So it was really a fantastic times for the people of the China at the time of Song dynasties, and agriculture was really a fantastic moment, which the technologies and some systems was taken from the Vietnam's. Vietnam's actually grown up some rice which were earlier ripening. So this rice were actually producing at the southern part of China at the time of Song dynasties. Agriculture was actually developed at the times and passing a great times. So if you talk about the Chinese art and cultures, especially at the times, the art was fantastic. The Taoist system in painting and painting or penning was in a great moment, and the art and poets, especially the poet was the Lu Fu and also the Lu Wu were very famous. So the time they wrote different kind of poems and which were really remarkable, and that at times the poetry was evolving by the hand of the Chinese writers and the poets. And the Chinese people actually sea loving, because when they found the blockade from the northern sides, so they moved to the southern side and to the sea areas, and by inventing an excellent compass, they're trying to control the sea areas, especially the seafaring. They've gone for the seafaring, and they made a trade with Japan, Korea, Vietnam. So they managed a great timing. They built ships, and they actually used the special compass so for the directions. So in that words, the Chinese actually got the different inventions which were really great innovations by them. And the last attempts to talk about the Chinese society. The Chinese society was being changed step by steps, because at the times the middle class actually compared with the upper class. The upper class also the wealthy persons, but the middle class they've got the education and they got the trainings, and becoming the civil service servant, they are actually challenging the upper classes and made a society. It's called the gentry. So the gentry people actually had greatly influenced in the history of China. So in that ways, the Chinese people enjoyed a great moment, a great time, the history of the Tang and Song dynasties. And the women actually enjoyed a great power at the times, but since the Chinese culture was actually, the women's position was subservient, and there was a system for controlling their especially food, and there was the bound food. When a girl was at the young age, she was bound to wear some the clothes, tightened shoes, or the clothes were used to bound their feet to make the shape of the lily foot, which was regarded the good signs for Chinese society's women's. And though it was actually impractical, the Chinese male person got, wealthy person got the beautiful wife, but impractical wife, because in that sense they are actually being crippled, giving the shape of lily foot. So that was the internal cultures of that at the time, and the societies were prevailing a great moment. So the history of the China in that way really flourished and established by the time of Tang and Song dynasties. Okay, dear audience, thank you very much for today. Those who are my actually audience, my special request to you, whenever you get the time, please try to subscribe my channels and watch my channels and throw some comments, and I'll be highly benefited by your contributions. So no more today. Thank you very much.